Hey, shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all honor and praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, where I learn His truth, and peace, blessing, and salutations to the Lord's elect. This is your brother Yaladaba with the Spirit, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And you know, pretty much, man, Bill C-19, it's something that's going to pass in Canada, man. It's something that has been already agreed upon, and it's going to soon affect the rest of the world, man. It's going to soon affect all these countries that are aligned with this beast system, And though it be in Canada right now, it's just in testing grounds for when it hits America, man, aka Babylon the Great. So I typed right here on ChatGPT, Bill C9, what does it mean for street preachers, And then it reads, if you're referring to Canada's bill Combating Hate Act, it impacts street preachers depend on what they say and how they say it, So pretty much us just being on the highways and hedges ain't a crime, but it is a crime because these devils are loopholing everything, man. So let me see the potential risk. And let me just get this here. So things that find that this thing is finding offensive. So Combating Hate Act, legislation to protect communities against hate. So we're gonna read that here. Raising anti-Semitic, and we know that, let's just get this word anti-Semitic here. Anti-Semitic means prejudice, hostility, or hate towards to the Ish people. It's a form of racism and bigotry that targets individuals or a group that simply because they are the Ish, and let's see, stereotypes, spreading false, harmful myths such as the idea that Jewish people are secretly controlling banks, the media, and the government. And we know that, hey man, nobody the Christians don't do that. Nobody in the world does that but us, man. And these people ultimately, this word has reached, to the ears of the nobles, man, the nobles of this world, and this truth that, starting with our elder apostles, elder bishops, elder brothers on down, we the only ones who come at this devil this way, man, reminding him of who he is and his coming judgments, So he's going to do everything he can, to stop this word, man, to come out, going back. Islamic phobia, so let's get that too. Islamophobia, the irrational fear, hatred, or prejudice directed at Islam or Muslims. So pretty much, condemning a wicked ass religion, reminding them that, they serving an idol, that's also a crime, man, So really, pretty much, we can't rebuke these wicked ass people, homophobia, these homos, these the transformers have left too many people feeling unsafe in their own communities. So, hey man, these people, they gonna try to do anything they can to stop this word to come out, man, because they hate rebuke, and they hate the Lord, and these are, by the way, the people who made these, who approved for this Combating Hate Act. These are so-called Christians, man, that are going against their own, what they believe, they supposedly believe on the scriptures to be true, but they they want to cancel out the Lord, man. They want to cancel out the scriptures, The act has amended the criminal code to make it a crime to intimidate obscure people from accessing places of worship as well as schools, community centers, and other places, you know. So pretty much if somebody is going to these places, you know, we can't stop them from going there. We can't, you know, pretty much have interactions while they're going to places. But only the stupid Christians do that, man. The so-called Christians be at, you know, all these different parades and outside churches and thinking they doing the Lord's work, but pretty much, hey, man, we got to be on the highways and hedges preaching this word, man. Not in these places where these people are already going to do their own thing, you know. Hey, let them do their own thing, man. Make hate-motivated crime a specific offense, assuring conduct. Such conduct is more clearly denounced and that offenders are held accountable. Define hatred to clarify what conduct constitutes a hate crime. So we make it a hate crime to willfully promote hatred against an identified group by displaying certain terrorism or hateful symbols in public, namely symbols principally used by or associated listed terrorists entitled under the criminal code to Nazi symbols or a noise. So, you know, us when we out there preaching this word, man, you know, we sometimes have these signs where, you know, the so-called image of the Lord, you know, this white devil with blue eyes and long hair, you know, that too can be seen as a hate crime, man. That is Satan, you know, that is the enemy ultimately, and that's not the real image of how the Lord looks, you know. Having even the 12 tribes, the 12 tribes sign, man, you know, these people could see that as a hate group, you know. Even having the signs of the other nations, you know, the 17 other nations and who they are, you know, that could be a crime too, you know. And this devil, ultimately, he don't care about the Christians, he don't care about the Muslims, he don't care about nothing, but everything is being targeted towards us, man, you know, and we got to prepare ourselves for this. You know, let me just start here. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 10, verse 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. God is not in all his thoughts. So, hey, man, we know the wicked to be who? Esau, Edom, you know, starting with them top banking families and their nobles, you know. These are the guys who really ain't seeking the Lord, man, because they proud, you know. They ain't seeking the Lord in truth. That's, you know, and, you know, they know that, you know, everything they do isn't for the benefit of the Lord's will, man. You know, these people are just doing things to target the Lord's people at the end of the day, man. You know, and Canada has passed this bill, which pretty much it removes biblical talks, you know, talking points, you know, and, you know, we can't pretty much, in Canada, as of right now, we can't rebuke these wicked ass people, man. We can't remind them of who they are, you know, and if they don't repent, what's the coming judgments, you know. You know, let me get this real quick. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 5 and verse 15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small matter, right? So us as believers, you know, we got to be, you know, us as believers of the Lord, man, we pretty much got to be on our P's and Q's, focused, attentive, you know, to what this devil, Esau, Edom, is doing, man, you know, that we may not be caught unawares, you know, and us being vigilant, you know, watching, you know, that's a part of our watch, man. That's a part of our job as watchmen, you know, and giving warnings from above, man, you know. Let me go back to the chat. why some people are concerned. So, okay, let me get this here. So the practical answer is, I'm gonna just skip this because it's not illegal to street preach. Yes, street preachers whose speech is allegedly to amount to criminal offenses or willfully promoting hatred may be face greater legal risk under the previous law because one statutory defense was removed. Whether any particular sermon would be criminal would ultimately depend on the specific words used and contents and how courts apply the law. So let me get this right quick. Combating hate towards So pretty much you can only preach in a church, synagogue, mosque, temples, things like that, or cemeteries. Those are the only places where you're freely allowed to teach. And hey man, that's pretty much going off in the scriptures, man. These people ain't teaching the truth there. They ain't worried about what was being taught there because hey, ultimately a lot of the truth ain't coming out of these places. The hate crime offense applies that anyone committing a federal offense that is motivated by hatred based on specific grounds such as race, sexual orientation, religion, or sex. So, hey man, we the only ones who say that, this truth and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is only for the Israelites, man, and he's dealing with men, the elect of the tribes, man. So everything pretty much is being aimed towards us, but hey, man, this is where the truth came out of. It came out of One West, leading on our apostles and elders carried on the torch, and now it's our job, as well, man. It's only us who these people are really worried about. We got them in fear because, hey, ultimately, this devil knows that he's at his last legs, man. This is Revelation 12, verse 10, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our power, right? And, this is Yahweh Shai. And it starts with us preaching Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. Preaching salvation to our people. Preaching, the strength, the comforting, that comes with these scriptures, and the kingdom, man. Because we all long, us brothers in this truth, we long for the kingdom, and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, and he's being cast down via this word, man. Via this word being preached, and ultimately Yahweh Shai coming back, is how this devil's gonna be totally cast down. Which accused them before our power day and night, and Esau Edom again, he's the accuser of the brethren, man, Let me get this real quick. This is the book of Ezekiel. First let me get this actually. I'll just get this. And then I'm gonna just jump back to the book of Amos, chapter 8 and verse 11. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that I will send a famine in the land, right? So, we know that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai ultimately is the one who put it in this devil's minds to slowly pull back this word, man, and we know that, it says here that, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but a hearing the words of the Most High, right? So, this truth is getting ready to stock rock. Is pretty much the value of this truth is pretty much gonna go up because hey, real soon, through these devils' rules and his laws, everything's gonna become draconian, man. A harsh and terrible rule, but people gonna start seeking, they gonna start seeking truth, they gonna start seeking answers. And hey man, only the men of the Lord, and starting with the apostles and elders, elder bishops, elder brothers on down, a great millstone, we got this truth, man. We got these answers, man. And it's all from the Lord, and people gonna be running to and fro to try to find this word, and I looked up here what goes on in time of famine. During a famine, an entire region suffers extreme food scarcity and widespread starvation, right? And hey man, this is spiritually, spiritually these people gonna be scarce without anything. Let me look up this word for scarcity. A state of being scarce or in short supply, shortage, and widespread starvation. So people gonna be, looking for everything, man. It triggers physical, social, and economical crisis as communities fight to survive, Let me look up here, because this is pretty much like the physical famine, but right here is kind of like a thing that these people really gonna break down in. Resources become scarce, sparking competition, social unrest, and conflict over whether food or water remains. Families often forced to abandon homes and land, traveling long distances to seek refuge camps. Hey, and ultimately that's going, MOTB, man. These people gonna have to abandon everything and seek these camps, these FEMA camps and things like that, and trusting in the devil, man. Humanitarian aid and unaffected regions, and hey, who are the people that are hit the hardest, man? Children and the elderly are hit hardest, frequently suffering from acute malfunction that results in lasting development issues, Death rate spiked, and hey, spiritually, all these people is dead already, but if they, looking and seeking answers, man, they gonna get violent. These people gonna be on edge, so people gonna be killing each other, illnesses, other famines only declare that at least 10,000 people die of starvation every single day. Okay, so all these things, man, drought, so yeah, man, these people getting ready to suffer greatly in the spirit, man. They gonna be looking for answers, questioning everything, verse 12, and they shall wander from sea to sea. Or actually, let me get this. Let me go to Ezekiel 3:26. And this is what the Lord is also getting ready to do. And I will make my tongue, and I will make thy tongue cleave to thy roof of the mouth, that thou shalt be dumb, and thou shalt not be to them a reprover, for they are a rebellious house, right? So, the Lord, he's getting ready to, stop our tongues, man, from teaching this word and from reproving these dumbass jakes, for they rebellious, And this word dumb here, looked it up, it means lacking intelligence or good judgment, stupid. Historically, it also refers to being mute or unable to speak. So, hey, man, the Lord is getting ready to remove our speech, when it concerning his word, concerning his prophecies, concerning his ways, man. Because Jake, they've trusted in the devil, man. They've only wanted to hear from the devil, and they finna get what they want. They finna get what they've always longed for, man. They've trusted in the devil, so be it, man. They gotta suffer these things, man. And reprover. Let me look this up. Okay. Because, hey, that's our job, man. To reprove our people, to exhort, to rebuke with all long suffering, man. To scold, criticize, express disapproval of someone's behavior, typically with a gentle and kind intention of correcting a fault, man. And that's what we do, Yeah, we even check ourselves, man. We check brothers too if we going off in the spirit, but it's all with kindness intent, man, of correcting someone's fault for the betterment, not, you know, we don't do this stuff maliciously, man. But you people are the ones who have malicious souls, man. So, let me find this here. Uh, because the Spirit of the Lord can't dwell in a malicious, because the Spirit of the Lord can't dwell in a malicious soul, man. As the scriptures say, and let me just get this here to close. This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 10. I'm going to start at verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of the Most High, right? And, hey, man, starting with us, we're the peacemakers, because we over here trying to call our people back to repentance, to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, in peace, man. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, right? And, hey, man, real soon, right now, the brothers in Canada, are kind of in fear because, hey, man, these people are going to be persecuting them, and they're going to be persecuting us here in them states too, and it's all for righteousness' sake. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake, and they did that to Yahweh Shai, they gonna do that to us too, Let me get this word for reviler. Revile. To criticize someone or something strongly in an abusive or insulting or angrily, and that's what these people are gonna do, man. They doing that already. The moles, these transformers, these Christians, man, they come against us like this all the time, Verse 12, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, right? So, hey, man, even though that, things is gonna start, they may look bad for a season, we are to be glad, because, hey, man, our reward is in heaven, man. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. And, hey, man, there's nothing new under the sun, The prophets that gone through this, now we finna experience this at the worst, man, because we at the end. So pretty much, brothers, stay strong, even though, this devil's coming down with, with his harsh rules, man, his draconian measures, we still got to be on point, man. We still got to be faithful, we still got to remain, even if they label us as terrorists, hateful, all sorts of things, Hey, man, we got to stay strong and remember that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is for us, man. So these devils, ultimately, them being against us, is to their own destruction, So with that, I pray this was an edifying lesson to the Lord's elect, and I want to give all honor and praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, where I learn this truth. Peace, blessing, and salutations to the Lord's elect. And with that, shalom.